The recent tragedy at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where a gunman took innocent lives, reminds us of the critical need for preparedness. In response, I, Ryan Ryder, am a certified Alive active shooter training program facilitator offering on-site and online courses. I want to train you on how to survive an active shooter event. The Alive training program contains a developed comprehensive survival strategy curriculum designed to empower individuals and organizations with the skills and knowledge to react effectively in life-threatening situations. With Alive's online training, you will gain the flexibility to learn critical safety skills from anywhere at your own pace. Or choose our on-site training where I personally deliver immersive, interactive sections tailored to your specific environment. The Alive program goes beyond mere survival tactics. It focuses on situational awareness, decision-making under pressure, and proactive response strategies, all crucial in the scenario we witness at UNLV. In an unpredictable world, the importance of being prepared cannot be overstated. The UNLV tragedy is a stark reminder of the reality. Equip yourself and your team with the knowledge and confidence to stay safe, to stay alive. Enroll in the Alive Active Shooter Training Program today. Whether on-site or online, our mission is to prepare you for the unthinkable and to ensure your safety is never compromised. Visit our website for more information and to register at www.rrinvestigations.com/alive. Together, we can create safer communities. Welcome to the Virtual Reality Reconstructionist, the show where we explore the fascinating intersection of technology and safety and how your work is helping to save lives and prevent accidents. I'm your host, Roger Ryan Ryder. I'm excited to be here with you today. We're diving into the depths of the ocean to explore the awe-inspiring story of the R.M.S. Titanic, a vessel that encapsulates tragedy, innovation, and the indomitable spirit of humanity. In this episode, we'll journey back into time and uncover the remarkable history of the R.M.S. Titanic, a ship that defined the norms of its era and left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. Let's dive in. The first part of this is going to be regarding the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration article dated 2023 on the R.M.S. Titanic and a 3D rendering of its remains. The R.M.S. Titanic, a marvel of its time, embarked on a fateful voyage that would forever alter the course of maritime history. From its opulent design to its heart-wrenching stories of its passengers, this ill-fated journey has captured the imagination of generations. As we delve into the annals of the iconic vessel, we'll reveal how its tragic sinking spurred a global movement for maritime safety. The echoes of the disaster resonate to this day, shaping international agreements and technology that safeguard lives on the open sea. But the story doesn't end there. Cutting-edge technology has allowed us to revisit the Titanic's final resting place with unprecedented clarity. Join us as we explore the deep-sea scans that unveil the ship's mysteries, from its grandeur to its most intricate details. Now some history. Culture and iconic interest in the United States and aboard the R.M.S. Titanic is perhaps the most famous shipwreck in our current popular culture. R.M.S. stands for Royal Mail Ship. Titanic was a British registered ship in the White Star Line that was owned by a U.S. company in which famed American financier John Pierpont, J.P. Morgan, was a major stockholder. Titanic was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland by Harland and Wolff for transatlantic passengers between Southampton, England, and New York City. It was the largest and most luxurious passenger ship of its time and was reported to be unsinkable. Titanic launched on May 31, 1911, and set sail on its maiden voyage for the Southampton on April 10, 1912, with 2,240 passengers and crew on board. On April 15, 1912, after striking an iceberg, Titanic broke apart and sank to the bottom of the ocean, taking with it lives of more than 1,500 passengers and crew. While there have been some salvage outside the major hull portions, most of the ship remains in full resting place 12,000 feet below sea level and over 350 nautical miles off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. Its famous story of disaster and human drama has been and continues to be recounted in numerous books, articles, and movies. Titanic has been recognized by the United States Congress as its national and international significance, and in many ways has become a cultural icon. The disaster has resulted in a number of memorials around the world. In the United States, there are major memorials in Washington, D.C. and New York. The Widener Library in the Harvard University is another major memorial commemorating Henry Elkins Widener, a victim of the sinking. So let's look at the investigation and the development of measures for safety in the navigation regarding the Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic was one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters in history and quickly became a catalyst for change. The United States Congress held hearings on the casualty that resulted in a report and measures to improve safety of the navigation. Similar investigations were held in the United Kingdom. The international community readily came together for a purpose of establishing a global maritime standards and regulations to promote safety of navigation, the most important of which was the Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, widely regarded as the most important of all international agreements on the safety of merchant ships. Radioacoustic ranging navigation, developed by the U.S. Coast Guard and Geodetic Survey, USGS, a NOAA predecessor agency, in 1924, had its roots in the sinking of the Titanic. The transmission reception of sound waves led to the invention of sonar. USCGS and hydrographic offices around the world grasped the power of sonar as an underwater search tool and also as a way to measure the depths of the ocean. Today, accurate and precise nautical charts are produced with the data acquired from survey vessels equipped with echo-sounding technology. So next, let's look at the discovering of the Titanic's wreck by a team of explorers from the United States and France. The wreck of Titanic was discovered on September 1st, 1985, by a joint American-French expedition led by Dr. Robert Ballard of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution and Jean-Louis Michel of the French Research Institution for Exploration of the Sea. The wreck was found approximately 350 nautical miles off the Canadian coast of Newfoundland in international waters 2.5 miles below the ocean surface. That's a depth of 12,500 feet or 3,800 meters. Shortly after the discovery, Dr. Ballard testified before the United States Congress to encourage the enactment of legislation and designated the wreck as a maritime memorial. In July 1986, a plaque was placed on the R.M.S. Titanic, recording its discovery the previous year and the calling of the wreck to be left undisturbed in memory of those who perished aboard her. In 1987, a United States company working with IFR-EMR returned to the wreck and began to salvage its artifacts from the artifact field. The United States Congress acts to protect Titanic through international cooperation. Recognizing the shipwreck as a site of great historical and cultural significance, Congress passed R.M.S. Titanic Maritime Memorial Act of 1986, directing the United States to 1. Begin negotiation of an international agreement to initiate multinational conservation efforts, and 2. To develop guidelines for exploration, research, and salvage. It also calls for the recognition of the site as an international maritime memorial on behalf of those who lost their lives on the tragic sinking. Nationally and internationally, the significance of the R.M.S. Titanic. The R.M.S. Titanic shipwreck holds exceptional national and international significance. It is one of the greatest jewels of the world's maritime heritage. National significance. As a British registered American-owned ship, Titanic represents a tangible link from the United States maritime history. The ship was owned and operated by the British White Star Line, a subsidiary of the American-owned International Marine Company of New Jersey, of which industrial tycoon J.P. Morgan was a majority shareholder. Discovered in 1985 by American oceanographer Robert Ballard and a team from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute and their foreign partners, the Titanic remains closely connected to the academic fields of the U.S. maritime history and maritime science. As of its 100th birthday on May 31, 2010, Titanic is an archaeological resource site as defined within the Archaeological Resource Protection Act. Artifacts and data discovered at the wreck site continue to advance scientific understanding on the process of underwater archaeological preservation and the biodeterioration. Titanic has inspired the creative genius of lawmakers, historians, filmmakers, and ocean enthusiasts around the world. It has provided a storyline for countless books, articles, films, and documentaries, including the Academy Award-winning James Cameron mega-hit Titanic. These stand as testimonials to the exceptional significance that the shipwreck has assumed in pop culture as well as American history. However, the significance of the ship's status as a cultural icon is surpassed by its historical significance as the ultimate memorial in honor of those lives that were lost in the sinking. Of the 306 American passengers on board Titanic, 119 were never rescued. The surviving passengers, many of whom lost family and friends in the disaster, returned to the United States. In 2006, at age 99, Lillian Asplund, the last living American survivor of the Titanic, died in Massachusetts. At age 5, she lost her father and 3 brothers, including her twin brother, 5-year-old Carl, on the Titanic. Other passengers on board Titanic were foreign-born immigrants traveling to the United States. A poignant and powerful artifact recovered from the wreck site was a declaration of intent to become a United States citizen filled out by a passenger who did not survive the sinking, but whose well-preserved luggage was recovered. This artifact is a reminder that most of these individuals did not survive, and with them died their American dream. Today, the tragedy of the R.M.S. Titanic represents the hardship and struggle faced by many immigrants during this time period as they set off across the Atlantic Ocean in hopes for a better life and a brighter future for themselves and their families. Their lives tell us the story of the millions of Americans who today are the living legacy of the immigrants who made this same transatlantic voyage intended by the Titanic. The story of the Titanic is the story of America. International significance. Much of the current international law relating to maritime shipping and safety developed as a result of the Titanic tragedy. In the immediate aftermath of its sinking on April 14th, 15th of 1912, the Titanic sparked a lawmaking frenzy resonating throughout the international community. From this fervor emerged the adoption of the first International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, in 1914. SOLAS has been amended several times and it's still the most important treaty addressed maritime safety. The establishment of the International Organization to Address Maritime Safety, the International Maritime Organization, IMO, may be traced to SOLAS and Titanic. On September 27, 2012, in celebrating its 35th World Maritime Day, the IMO also recalled the 100th anniversary of the disastrous sinking of the Titanic. That was a catalyst for its establishment. So now let's talk about the staggering 3D scan of the Titanic that shows the wreck down to its millimeter in size done by Popular Science of 2023. Imagine witnessing the Titanic's wreckage in astounding detail. If it's the ocean's veil has been lifted. With the power of advanced 3D scanning technology, we've unraveled the secrets of the historical ship, providing new insights into its final moments and to lives it's touched. Uncover the painstaking process that brought its digital twin to life, unraveling hidden artifacts, intricate structures, and even unsolved mysteries. This is not just a scan, it's a journey that connects the past and the present, breathing new life into the story we thought we knew. Creating the 3D scan, a collection of 16 terabytes of data with remote submersibles to create the image of the Titanic's remains. The company, Magellan Limited, worked for months using 4K video to complete the deep sea mapping. These deep sea subs were named Romeo and Juliet and were able to collect 700,000 images of the 3-mile wreckage during their 200 hours of dive time. Amongst the videos and photos, details such as the ship's propeller, serial number, pieces of jewelry, and shoes can be identified through the wreckage. From the article, over 1,500 people died after the cruise liner struck an iceberg and sank in the frigid Atlantic Ocean waters during the 1912 maiden voyage from the Southampton, UK to New York. Numerous expeditions have surveyed the Titanic's remains since its discovery in 1985, but until now, the ocean's pitch-black environment at 3,800 meters, coupled with the ship's sheer size, have only allowed murky glimpses and snapshots of the wreckage. Now, however, experts can begin studying the Titanic's remnants with an entirely new level of detail and precision. In a statement, Park Stevenson, a longtime Titanic researcher, explained, "What we are seeing for the first time is an accurate and true depiction of the entire wreck and debris site. I'm seeing details that none of us have ever seen before. This allows me to build upon everything that we have learned to date and see the wreck in a new light." According to Stevenson, despite knowing the disaster's cause, we still aren't sure what really happened when the ship hit the iceberg. We don't even know if she hit it along the starboard side, as it's shown in the movies. She might have grounded on the iceberg, Stevenson told the BBC. Additionally, examining portions such as the ship's stern could uncover the physics behind how the ship actually landed upon the seafloor. The article's references a priority in future visits to the Titanic remains. Microbial life is eating away at portions of the ship, while other pieces disintegrate into the hostile environment. This creates importance of this imagery and is invaluable historical value for researchers as they continue to learn about the remains. Let's see the Titanic in a whole new way. The full-size 3D digital scans show scales of the wreckage site, according to USA Today 2023. The story of the unsinkable ship has been told through the award-winning films, books, artifacts, and museum exhibits and rare photos. And now, for the first time, a full-size digital scan of the Titanic shows a closer look at the world-famous wreck that occurred in April 14, 1912. Magellan, a deep-sea research company, produced the scan using mapping technology that provided a three-dimensional view of the 882.5-foot-long ship as if the water has been drained away. The hope is this will shed new light on the exact what happened on the liner. 3D scanning took more than 200 hours, 700,000 images to make. This new scan, carried out in the summer of 2022 by Magellan and Atlantic Productions, reveals a complete 360-degree view of the Titanic, including small details like the serial number of one of the propellers. The team used remote-controlled submersibles to take more than 700,000 images of the Titanic from every angle to create the 3D reconstruction, the BBS report. The team members spent more than 200 hours surveying the ship, which planning leader Gerhard Seifert said they weren't allowed to touch. And the other challenge is that you have to map every square centimeter. Even uninteresting parts, like in the debris field, you have to map mud that you need to use to fill in between all the interesting objects. The scan gives a glimpse of the radio room, the grand staircase, and more. Some Titanic facts. When did it sink and how many people died? More than 1,500 people were killed on the Titanic. Roughly 2,200 people aboard the ship. Only 700 people survived. Majority of these people killed were members of the crew and third-class passengers, and with the 710 deaths in the third class and 700 deaths among the crew. Passengers were traveling from Southampton, England, to New York City when the ship collided with an iceberg. The Titanic sunk into the ocean on April 15, 1912, at about 2:20 a.m. Rare photos of the ship, the Titanic sank into the Atlantic Ocean 111 years ago. 111 years after the Titanic sank, these graphics explore what you may not know about the ship. So next is seeing the Titanic in stunning detail with the new 3D scan. This article is about the Smithsonian Magazine in 2023. More than a century after the Titanic sank during her maiden voyage across the Atlantic, deep-sea researchers have created the first full-sized 3D digital scan of the wreckage. Over a period of 6 weeks last summer, the team used 2 remotely operated underwater vehicles to explore the ship from all the angles, as well as surrounding debris fields that stretched up to 3 miles. Items that belonged to the vessel, roughly 2,200 passengers and crew members, such as champagne bottles, watches, and shoes, are still scattered across the sea floor. In total, the 2 submersibles captured more than 16,000 terabytes of data, 715,000 images, and a high-resolution video in the North Atlantic, reports the New York Times' April Rubin. Researchers then spent 7 months piecing together a 1-to-1 digital copy, a twin, of the Titanic in every detail, says Anthony Geffen, who leads the Atlantic Productions, the filming company making a documentary about the modeling process to the Associated Press's Civil Who. The result, a model that's incredibly detailed, showing even tiny features like the serial number on the ship's propeller. This is the Titanic as no one has ever seen it before, says Gerhard Seifert, a 3D imaging expert for Magellan, the deep-sea investigation company leading the project to CNN's Naima Kennedy. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic departed from Southampton, England, and began sailing west toward New York City. The vessel struck an iceberg near Newfoundland on April 14, proceeding to sink in just a few hours. More than 1,500 passengers and crew members died in the wreck. First located in 1985, the shipwreck is situated about 435 miles off the coast of Canada, roughly 1,250 feet, 2.4 miles below the water's surface. With the model now complete, its creators hope it will help Titanic researchers more accurately piece together what happened during the famed disaster. Anyone interested in the vessel's history will be able to use the model to walk through the ships virtually as if the water has been drained away, writes Magellan in a statement. Already, the scan is leading to new discoveries. For instance, researchers noticed for the first time that one of the Titanic's lifeboats wasn't deployed because it was blocked by a jammed metal piece, reports the Times. There are still questions, basic questions, that need to be answered about the ship, says Park Stevenson, a Titanic expert who was not involved in the project, to BBC's new Rebecca Morale and Alison Francis. The new model, he adds, is one of the first major steps to driving the Titanic story toward evidence-based research and not speculation. The next article is the first full-size 3D scan of Titanic shows shipwrecks in new light. This is from the Associated Press 2023. Deep-sea researchers have completed the first full-size digital scan of the Titanic, showing the entire wreck in unprecedented detail and clarity. The companies behind a new documentary on the wreck said Thursday. Using 2 remote-operated submersibles, a team of researchers spent 6 weeks last summer in the North Atlantic mapping the whole shipwreck and the surrounding 3-mile debris field, where personal belongings on the ocean liner's passengers, such as shoes and watches, were scattered. Richard Parkinson, founder and chief executive of deep-sea exploration firm Magellan, estimated that the resulting data included 715,000 images, is 10 times larger than an underwater 3D model ever attempted before. The Titanic was the maiden voyage of the Southampton, England, to New York City when it hit an iceberg off Newfoundland in the North Atlantic on April 15, 1912. The luxury ocean liner sank within hours, killing about 1,500 people. The wreck, discovered in 1985, lies some 12,500 feet under the sea, about 435 miles off the coast of Canada. Geffen says previous images of the Titanic were often limited by low light levels and only allowed viewers to see one area of the wreck at a time. He said the new 3D model captures both the bow and the stern section, which had separation upon sinking in clear detail, including the serial number of the propeller. Researchers have spent 7 months rendering the large amount of data they gathered, and a documentary on the project is expected to come out next year. But beyond that, Geffen says he hopes that the new technology will help researchers work on details of how the Titanic met its fate and allow people to interact in history in a fresh way. The R.M.S. Titanic is more than a shipwreck. It's a testament of resilience, a symbol of change, and a bridge between generations. As we contemplate its legacy, we honor the lives lost, the lessons learned, and the technology that continues to redefine our understanding of the world beneath the waves. That's all for today's episode of the Virtual Reality Reconstructionist.